have a reggae my light.
Who's the most requested artist from Jamaica in terms of bookings? When they get phone calls, I would assume Shaggy and Sean Paul, but who would you say is the most requested when a promoter from overseas call you?
You see, that's a tricky question because different territories like different things. So to say who is the most called for is a hard question to answer. But let's say Europe and festival times, everybody wants reggae. So that's the more the Chronics, the Proteges, that kind of camp, Lila Ike, that camp. That's who everyone's looking for. And European reggae festival, European reggae shows. So that's where you get those calls. And normally during the summer, that's touring time for artists. Over the Sean Pauls and stuff tour as well at that time. So it's not about. There are different markets for different people, so it's not.
So the demand is dependent on the market.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify, as in, like you said, who they keep on calling your phone for. It's everybody.
Right, everybody.
The music, reggae and dancehall its reach is global, and the phone keeps ringing once the world is open.
Yeah, because I realized that your book shows for Shenseea and Israel.
Yeah.
And most Jamaicans who we know about Israel are from the Bible. So if you take reggae and dancehall to Israel, what is the response like?
And even that, with that Israel, that group of promoters I've been working with and stuff, they've done a couple shows. So we've worked with Hood Celebrity, Shenseea and Charly Blacks over there. And that's another thing, like that's Charly Blacks is in Israel and when we did it, when we went there, we did one show with Hood Celebrity, one show with Shenseea. When I carried Charly Blacks, we did two.
Right, because that means there's a demand there.
That demand and that party animal vibe and those songs have crossed over and are known globally. So it's an easy sell.
And it's a good response from the audience. Because
definitely it's a full house, and it's not a thing where, and music is such a funny thing because I personally, I can admit this, working with Charly Blacks, being in Israel, standing up on there, Charly Blacks went to sing a song, and I was like, it's the first time I hear this song. But everybody in the crowd was singing the song. And I was there like, whoa, okay. Yeah. This is a big song. Because I have to be looking at something like, this is a big song. And they're like, yeah man, it's a run the place. And I'm like, I've never heard this song before.
That's something more I can attest to, because I've heard artists over the years say the song where people know Jamaica or in the Caribbean is not their big song in Europe, Africa, or other parts of the world.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, it's about putting in the work.
Like I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the Party Animal didn't even get the biggest response that night. And I'm like, okay, cool. And that's just because people probably know him because of Party Animal. But all this other content is consistent and along the same line, and there we go. He's touring and working all over. When we actually got Charly Blacks to come to Israel, it was because he was doing a European tour. And we just said, all right, can you just come over, do a one show and go back? And it was like, all right, and we worked it out in the schedule.
That was the first time he went to Israel?
That was not his first time going to Israel. It was not. And we did two shows. The area in Israel was his first time because we went to Haifa. But because it wasn't Tel Aviv, which is the more popular known place in there. But yeah, we did shows and it was good.
And that goes to show the reach of dancehall. So sometimes when you hear a song playing at the street and you feel like, and we can even point to the Grammy because Toots and the Maytals won the Grammy, and Skip Marley, and Maxi Priest, the other nominees. And normally when you hear the Marleys win the Grammy, people would say, but me not hear them song on radio, but me not hear. But the audience, the Jamaican audience is so small. Just 3 million people, and to be honest, and all will listen. Dancehall and reggae music.
Exactly.
So when we not hearing it here, people overseas hearing and responding in a way. So it's not a surprise when you hear certain songs are hits in other countries, but not in Jamaica.
Definitely.
Right. So that would bring me back now to the COVID thing. Prior to that, you'd have a lot of show book. But given that COVID has affected the world, how have you responded as a consultancy?
All right. So COVID did put a big stop on everything. Personally, my personal experience in it, we were closed March, April, May, June, about 3-4 months of no work. Then it was, so how can we pivot and work along with this? And then we started to notice maybe we can try to do stuff in the virtual space. understanding that it is a hard sell to consumer and to somebody to spend money to do a virtual, especially because of our, how to put this, our customer base, where in terms of us paying for content online and that kind of stuff. But I found a friend in corporate Jamaica who still have marketing campaigns to execute and still need to be visible and still need those stuff. So we actually I pivoted more into doing corporate work during this time, knowing that they are the only person who will have available budget, which doesn't demand a sale of a ticket for immediate
monetization.
Right.
So, but I can imagine, you know, going virtual. Yeah. It's a new thing, and people would be scared to venture into that without having been there before. Yeah. So you would have received some form of resistance.
Definitely, resistance on both parts. Just the artists themselves sometimes were hesitant to do virtual because they're like, yo, it feels weird. It's a whole different vibe. Like a lot of our artists feed off of crowd energy, and that helps them put through their performance and whatever. Not a lot of them are used to TV performances. So like the Sean and the Shaggies are used to that because they'll have to go to a studio and perform to camera and whatever. I mean everyone does music videos though, but it's still not the same thing as performing a show to camera. So it took a little bit of a learning curve for a lot of artists to get used to the whole, okay, we're doing a show to camera now, with no audience, no feedback, no nothing. Then we, like, you know, there have points in the shows that when they drop a certain line, they stop and listen because you know the crowd gonna sing out. So then they're like, do it now, and it's like, yo,
yeah, get forward, right.
You just have to be like, yo, I know I have to I'm gonna do the pause same way, but no, I'm not gonna hear anything, and I can't show my face that I feel a way that I'm not hearing anything, and I just have to get used to that. And then from the promoter's side or from who organizing it, there's a whole different thing as well to get comfortable with knowing that it's not direct sales, it's not money right away. It's we have to put out something on a platform and then maybe from there hope to see what happens.
And it's all about keeping a brand alive, especially a show like Reggae Sumfest, which you went virtually with.
No, I didn't work with Reggae Sumfest.
Not Reggae Sumfest.
I worked with Sunsplash.
Sunsplash, right, right. So you work with Reggae Sunsplash on that, right.
So Reggae Sunsplash definitely, after conversations with them and with most brands as well, we decided in 2020 that it was not about the bottom line and the revenue, but was more about brand visibility in a time when nothing was going on. So let the brand be shown, let people know that we're still around. And then especially with Reggae Sunsplash, it was supposed to be their comeback year after like 14, 15 years of not being on the scene. So they had all those plans to come back with a live big show, and then this put a wrench in the plans. Pandemic. So it's like, what we're going to do? And I'm like, let's just do it virtually. You still get your brand, you can still get your awareness and stuff, and then you just get people used to the brand again. They signed on and they were good with that, and then we produced that. What I think was a very good show with a very good lineup.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Just remind us of some of the people who
were on that show.
On that show, right.
So you had young acts, older acts, and then some of the current hot acts. So we had like Rasai was on the show. We had Tanya Stevens, Capleton, Dexter Daps, Massacre, Richie Spice, Romain Virgo, Agent Saska was on the show. Right. I think it is everybody. It's 9 people. And Jesse Royal was also on the show.
Okay. So we talk about the, what I call it now, the lack of confidence or belief in going virtual, because it's a new era, it's a new situation. But the versus clash between Bounty Killer and Beenie Man, that would have, in 2020, that would have pretty much been the catalyst for other people to have the belief. Do you think so?
Definitely. Based on the response of that, people were getting the idea that, yo, this can work. People will tune in. People will come and watch stuff, and it did build a confidence right across the board. I can tell you straight up that one of the partners that I work with, which is Clear Sound, it was done Versus was done in their small studio space, and then coming out of that, we did a couple other virtuals for different. We did some for like UK Carnival, we did some for Connecticut Carnival, and we did it in that same small space. And then based off of that, we're like, yo, we're speaking, Richard Hookim, we're speaking, and he's like, yo, we can create a space for this, and we can do bigger shows and do bigger thing. And I was like, all right, if you guys think you have the confidence to set up that and let's do it, and he was like, yeah man, do it, and if you can find clients, let's do it. And one of the first things we did with them was actually this thing called 1 Yard Caribbean, which was done by a Trinidad company, but it was a charity fundraiser, and it had artists from all over the Caribbean, the two from Jamaica that worked on it, three from Jamaica that worked on it was Shenseea, Beanie Man and Chronics. And we did that in his space based on the fact that he had that set up and everything. And that, I think that really locally was the first big one done. And then that catapulted everything from there.
Okay, so you played a role in Versus?
No.
Okay.
No, I was just a viewer.
Viewer, right? Because I noticed you were saying like
you
were in the space. So
no,
I just wanted
we
to
space afterwards.
just want to find out and just clarify with that. But you talk about us and we, because clearly Kaboom Nation is not a one-man team.
Yeah.
How many people do you have working with Kaboom?
In my team right now, I will count my DJs as part of my team as well. It's like 9 or 10 of us.
Okay.
9 or 10 of us who will do different stuff. I have most of them are DJs who.
When I say disc jocks, people who
turn
tables,
spin on the radio, spin at
who are some of these DJs?
I name all of them.
Right.
So we have DJ Was, who is from St. Mary. We have ZJ Nova, who plays on Zip. I have Narity and Franco, who plays on Fame. We have DJ Spin, who was in the Red Bull freestyle competition, and we have DJ Charly G, who is just one of our other DJs who plays around the place at events.
All right. Why are they important in your firm, a consultancy booking agency?
Okay, so that's they're more important on the other side of it, which is that with music, DJs are very important to music and to letting people know what is hot and what's not hot and stuff. So by having a DJ team, that one I push them to play at events and stuff when I'm doing my booking. So if I have a booking for 1 year, I'll be like, yo, you want a DJ as well? And the DJ, and I know they're capable DJs who can manage stuff, because I even have some of them who spin for artists as well. If the artists don't have a DJ, they walk, right. My DJ come and he'll spin the show for them and stuff. So it's just about having everything under one roof, right. So that in case it's needed, it's there.
Right. So that's the hallmark. Just you know, say nobody go anywhere else.
So like I can book an artist and I'll be like, yo, you gonna bring your DJ, and he was like, well, my DJ, because some people don't really have a dedicated DJ. They probably just work with whichever DJ was booked on the show. But I'm like, you're the only artist on this, right. Especially in the virtual space now. It's not no sound playing before you, then you perform. If you come into something, it's probably just because you are booked to perform there. So I'll be like, all right, my DJ will come play too and whatever, and then that it works out. It always works out better that way.
Better that way.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of bookings, we want some figures now. On average, I don't know how far you can go in discussing it, but what are the numbers in terms of when I get a call for an artist? What the highest range and the lowest range?
I can't really discuss that.
Right. you can't go that far.
I can't really discuss people figures or ranges or and stuff like that, especially on camera.
Right. Understandable. I figured as much. Yeah. But also, we talk about booking for stage shows and live events prior COVID-19 or even virtual now. Yeah. Is that more lucrative than online streaming, like on YouTube and other streaming?
Lucrative for who?
For the DJ. Because I noticed that the modern day artists are focusing more on YouTube views.
And views and those stuff. Well, at the end of the day, especially for our local artists, unless they cross over, their main source of bread and butter will always be the performance. Whatever money they make from shows. So that will always be how they earn most of their money. They do get paid off of their music as well, the tracks, whatever it's used in that, how much views it have, whatever. But they make music to then go and perform it.
Okay.
Getting shows is where they get paid.
But I say a shift really in terms of why the shift is from most of them focusing on YouTube and other streaming platforms for their music are making money. Because one of the criticism of nowadays dancehall artists is that they're not able to perform on stage like the 90s and 80s dancehall. Yeah. So they mostly gravitate to the YouTube. What do you think about that?
Well, it's not because, I won't say it's because they can't perform or whatever. I just think that the opportunities to perform are less. Because there used to be a time when in 1 month there'll be like 4, 5, 6 shows. Now shows are less. They might have 1 show for the month, and this is even before COVID. Might have 1 show for the month, 2 shows for the month. So the opportunities to perform are less. So they have to now change. They have to like find a second income, so to speak, and that will be more through pushing the music on the platforms and making sure the views are up and all that stuff. So they get paid there, and then when they get the 1 and 2 other shows as well, which is going to be a significantly higher payout than that, that is there as well.
And with YouTube and the likes, they have a wider reach as well in terms of,
globally. I mean, in terms of pushing your brand and whatever and thing that, you definitely put it there and more people can go and see it and stuff. And as you said, with like in comparison to the 90s, that platform wasn't there. That platform wasn't there to showcase your music. You couldn't put out 10 songs in a week.
You have to put it on a dot tape
exactly,
and send it to New York, like how Killer Bus in New York.
Exactly. So it's just about using what's available to you. It's not like them going to be, I'm only going to be a YouTube star. I don't care about working shows. They make music, and yes, they love making music, but they definitely all want to go and work shows and perform their songs, and that's how they're gonna get more money and more, and that's how artists make money here.
And it's the best way to interact with fans.
Definitely. And that's how they make money here. They make money off of music. I'm not going to say they don't, and they do, and some of them make some very good money. But then at the end of the day, that all comes down to whatever agreements that they have with producers and stuff, and the splits for the music and all of that. That's a whole other conversation.
So you feel that one of the things 80s, 90s, 60s, 70s artists, my group everybody know reggae dancehall, especially the rocksteady era, where they were just interested in doing music. So them go to the studio 1, Trojan, wherever them go record their music. Don't know about royalties, don't know about compensation overall. Do you think there's a better understanding now among artists of the business of music and not just the business of recording music?
I definitely think there is. I know there are cases where people still don't know as much as they should, but in terms of overall general knowledge, I think there's more of that now.
Okay. And they're able to collect royalties better. And
definitely. But as I said, that is a whole other conversation, because you're going into who owns this and the splits and the that, and that's a whole other thing. That personally, my company doesn't get involved with.
You stay clear from that.
Right now, we are not working on the creative aspect.
But you think sometimes in the future,
Kaboom Nation definitely we might shift into that market as well, to be taking on artists in terms of management of artists, and definitely with content creation and all that.
So that means you'd have to probably expand your team.
The team would have to definitely expand.
Because that's a whole different ballgame.
If it's a whole different conversation, and that's a whole other department.
That
so
would
need
take
to
a lot
handle
more.
Definitely.
Because you have to probably be road manager. And just say you travel with the artist as a booking agent, so I can just imagine.
Because we offer booking agency and road management services. So I'm not the only person who travels with artists. I have people in my team as well. We have Devon Smith, who's in my team, Jabari Wallace, who's in my team, Simone Nielsen, who's in my team, and they travel with artists as well. Because we might have 3-4 shows booked on the same weekend. I can't go to 3-4 shows in different parts of the world. So we have everybody split up, and they go and they provide that service to. They're working as the artists might have their own road manager, but because it's our booking, we maintain that link of that middle ground, and then we just send somebody as well to just make sure that the piece is kept even even over there.
All right, with social media so big now, does that diminish your role as a booking agency? Because people can go on Instagram for arguments and find the artist.
I've always had this conversation, and I'm like, I will never fight any promoter who tells me I can just go to but I can go find them myself, whatever. And I'm like, if you can find them yourself, go ahead. Great, no problem. Probably even might be a little cheaper, because you don't have to pay me.
Exactly.
Well, that's fine. However, there is a benefit to the service I provide. So with the social media and everybody being a little bit more accessible, yes, it does play a little part in terms of I might not get as much work as I possibly could have. However, for the people who use my service, they understand the benefit of the service. So I've had cases where people will be like, yo, I can just contact whoever directly, whatever. And we'll be talking, and they say, I'm going to contact them direct. My friend know who. I said, sure, no problem. They do it, and then at the end of the day, they probably come back to me and be like, yo, whatever I say. I thought you were going to talk to them directly. Yeah, but you know, this, yo, you can just take it over, you can just take it over, you can take it over. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I just take it over.
Right.
I probably take it over on this show, or they probably go through with the show. Show is happen, but there's a lot of quarreling, look back and forth and whatever. And the next time they're doing a show, they link me and be like, yo, all right. I said, so what, you don't know this person too? And say, yeah, but you just do it.
Right.
Just do it.
So, does the current form of dancehall, we notice, I wouldn't want to say a deviation, but say an evolution of dancehall music from the hardcore drum and bass beat to the drums, where we have a more of what them call trap now.
Yeah.
Does that have a wide appeal to people overseas?
Especially now, with social media and the world is way smaller and there's way more access to content and whatever. Doing a different variation of the sound probably gets you a little bit more attention or a little bit more, okay, what's that? Instead of just saying, okay, everybody sounds the same thing over there, same. Like, oh, what's that?
Right.
Okay, that sounds a little different. Fine if it's not authentically Jamaican, but it's still dancehall.
You have a reggae my life.